Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to review round 12 of the 2024 AFL SuperCoach season, and quite possibly our best week for the year. Not in terms of score, 2177 isn't the biggest score we've got, but as you can see that was good enough to rank us 525th for the round. Given it was best 18, 2177 is a pretty big score. And I've actually halved my overall rank, so it was 4.5k, just inside the top 2200 now. So yeah, absolutely crushing it, if I do say so myself. So we'll have a look at the team and how they went. So as you can see, I VC'd Dacos in the game against the Bulldogs, and while obviously I didn't captain the Bont, 156 was a pretty easy decision to make. I did have the captaincy on Ryan originally. He returned to 124, which is okay, but obviously I made an extra 30 points out of that move. Houston with a 98, he's a bit below par, but that's fine. Shees was on the bye, so he became the captain. Nick Martin with an 80 is solid. And then Closey and Graham both with sub 50s, but they dropped out on my score this week, so not too bad there. In the midfield, Bont obviously was the big winner, 186, so well done if you captained him. Butters with a 98, Sarong with a 102, Merritt with a 97, so, nothing spectacular there, but I guess, when you add on the 110s from Rao, Walsh, Horn, Francis and Steele, it was a pretty solid contribution from the midfield. Having 8 midfielders, essentially turning up, Butters and Merritt were close enough, was a good result. In the rucks, Gorn with a 95 is the one most people have. I guess the more of the pod. Tim English got a 131, so that would have, got me up a few more spots too. And so then in the forward line, I had Flanders and Sexton both ton up, and Fife, so good bounce back from him. Darcy with an 81 was solid, and then Wilson and Fraser's score didn't actually count. So, I think Martin's 80 was the lowest we got. So, 18 scores above 80 is a pretty good week. So if we have a look at the head-to-head, so I was up against Taz's Tarantulas. Was sitting pretty high up the ladder before this week. Still doing well in 4th, but I wasn't expecting to get a 100-point win over Matt's team. So if we have a look, he did captain Bont, and he had Dylan Moore, I think that is, with a 169. So definitely an interesting option for the coming weeks. But Dawson with 55 is a bit flat. Bonner and Wilson, again, Wilson's score dropped off for my team, so that's a slight advantage there. Tommy Stewart with a 76 is continuing to be a bit disappointing. Hayden Young with 100, possible D6 candidate next week. Teague Miller with a 108, so sort of cover and rail, and had Moyle in the ruck with a 77. So obviously Tim English outscoring there. And as you can see, he had Sullivan drop off as well as Closey and Graham. And just having a look through the league, I'm pretty sure this is the first week where I'm actually the top scorer overall for the league. Chaos, who oddly enough sitting 17th, so not having the best season, but 21-20 this week is an excellent result. So VC and Bont was helpful. Ollie Wines, nice pod, 101. Jordan Clark in defence, 127. So maybe him or Young, I think, might be D6 next week once they're off their bye. But yeah, Bodie Euland, or however you say that, 82 was solid. Reed with the 71, but is going to get a couple of weeks off apparently. Stewart, Jeremy Sharp with the 72. Luke Jackson with a 98, so another sort of forward candidate next week. Particularly, I guess, with the ruck coverage is going to be handy. So yeah, pretty solid effort there from Chaos. As you can see, I had quite a few players this week, and those scores all dropped off. Other than that, was there any other 2100s? 2103 from Red 32 Buck. We'll just have a quick look. Jack Crisp, well, 117's nice. Ollie Dempsey with a 122. That's massive. So 331 K he's up to now, 41 break even. So well done if you got on him at the start of the year, like Mark. Salem, was he was the real cheap option, wasn't he? Yeah, like I think he was 340K, so he made 50K this week, 17 break even. 91's a pretty solid score. Yeah, VC Dacos and took that, so nice. Same sort of deal. Had Bond but didn't captain. So a pretty solid team there as well. What's the lowest? 71 for Harley Reid. Nice. So I guess the plan this week, as you can see, a few blue dots on screen. I'll just get rid of this off my screen 1 second. There we go. So I guess we'll do a couple of changes. Just park Houston and Ryan on the bench. Obviously Caulfield's not playing, but we'll throw him in there. Actually, it might be easier to spot if I put one of them back on. So Heaney, who will probably move back to our forward line. Garcia and Revel. So probably Garcia won't be playing either. So let's just slide Horn Francis back on, I guess. Sweet on the bye this week, but with Soldo back, he is definitely on the chopping block. And then Will Richards isn't playing. Livingston's moving back up there, so we might just leave Fife in. So, with the blue dots, we've got, take the 3 off, we've got 19 on field this week, so we do have enough, but, we are going to have scores like Graham. Revel, seems to be good for a 60. Fraser with the 60. So, I guess they're the sort of scores that we're targeting. So, probably want to look to upgrade, particularly looking at Sweet and Livingston in. So I guess, the prime candidates are the clubs that have already had their bye, which would be the Lions, North Melbourne, GWS, and Sydney. So I guess probably the standout candidate for me, if we swing Livingston back into the ruck, is Fisher. So, averaging 85 for the year, but a 3 round of 123 seems to have a pretty dominant role in that back line now. So obviously we did have him earlier in the year, but I think he is one we can hold on to for the rest of the year. So if we bring him in, we are a little bit short, so we will have to downgrade. And just looking through the team, like pretty much all the Fremantle and Port guys we've got are keepers, so we don't necessarily want to trade them out. And, Fife with his 104 has probably reset his break even a bit, 45. So I guess what I'm thinking of doing is trading out Darcy and Wilson. So they've both got a buy in. I think one. They're both in round 15 from memory. So we can start to prepare for that. I think the downgrade option that we've got, if we go by break evens, is this Will Dawson. So defender forward. It'd be sort of handy to have him in the back line, ideally, given we could potentially cover and sort of have the swing option for Sexton and Fisher to move back if need be as cover. So I don't know if we can do that this week. And so then the other option is, it's probably going to be a forward, because we've already got full midfield if you consider Butters and Sarong in. As I said, if we swap Heaney in with, say, Fraser, so, Heaney will sit here. We've already got full midfield. So we probably need to target a forward. We can do D6 next week with Closey and Graham, both on the bye, and that's definitely sort of the plan. As I said, we'll target one of those Fremantle guys, I'm guessing. So I guess what we want to do is look for a gun forward. And so based on averages, we got Zorko is a good possibility, but a bit expensive. 600k is a lot to pay for a forward. Like Hogan was popular for a minute, but don't think he's worth it. And then after that, we're getting to very sort of middling type players. So if we extend our search outside of the regular, so Jackson's obviously on the bye this week. It doesn't make sense. And then Dylan Moore. So you can see his price is essentially bottomed out, 500k. He's slightly down on the season. But only made 12k out of that 169, so the break even pretty good, 47. If we have a look at his stats, yeah, so you can see he's had like a few down weeks there, but either side of that, he's cracked tons. And then you look at his draw coming up as well. Richmond, West Coast coming up. Richmond again, North to finish the season's pretty nice. So even though he does play round 15, and I guess we've basically out of these two trades, we've only got one extra player for round 15. There's still a couple of weeks. We can obviously, target through Closey and Graham a couple of numbers next week. If need be, we can obviously trade out of Garcia. There might even be another sort of cheapie on the buy that week. We can just flip if we need to. So I'm happy to go with Dylan Moore. And so I guess just quickly, if we put together our full team, so I'm just going to swing these guys back in. Oval, Sarong. So Heaney swaps with Frager and Fisher on field. So, like I said, next week we'll upgrade D6. Midfield's sorted, rucks are sorted, and the forwards are pretty well sorted, assuming Sexton keeps playing. We've got 5 decent options, and Nat Fife at D6, it will cover the last sort of couple of buy rounds. So, between him and, we've got a bit of cash on the bench with the likes of Frager, Revel, should make some more money. Even maybe Richards when he comes back. I know he's out for a few weeks, so 17, 18, along the lines of Caulfield. So maybe they're just holds until the end of the season and last sort of upgrades if we need. So, the team's in a pretty good spot. And then, so this week, we do have an extra option or two now. Well, actually, I say option, it's just one. Yeah, so let's just swap these guys in. So as I said, not expecting Garcia to play. I've clicked the wrong one there. Not expecting Garcia to play, but you never know. So we'll pop him in for the time being. So it's looking pretty good. Obviously, Caulfield's not playing, so what does that give us? I guess 21 if they all play, but probably 20 with Garcia out, which is fine. We'll cop that. And then just captaincy, vice captaincy. So we don't have an Adelaide. I guess Friday night, got to go Bont, given the form against the Lions. West Coast and North playing each other, so I guess that cancels out the cheap options there. So it might just be the King's birthday game. Dacos as captain. Give ourselves as much of a chance to look. But I guess, something like that would be pretty safe, I'd imagine. So, yeah, that's the team and how it's sitting. So as always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below the video. Give us a like if you enjoy the AFL content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.